Welcome back to Steel City Sports. So today we're talking about 5 NFL stars that I would love to see on a new team next season. Some of these guys are free agents. They get to decide where they have to go. Some of them would have to be traded. But most of these guys have been in rumors, so it's likely that some of, if not all of them, will be moved this offseason. This is in no particular order. Let's get into it. Our first player is the only defensive player on the list, and that is Brian Burns, a 26-year-old linebacker from the Panthers. He's been in the NFL for 5 years now. Feels like he's not really well known around the league, but he's been a Pro Bowler. He's averaged 9 sacks for every season he's been in the NFL. He even had a year where he put up 12 and a half sacks, and he's just not really mentioned as one of the better defensive players around the league, at least for, your casual audience, just because they don't really know about him. But I think this guy has extremely high upside. I think he's just now going to start entering his prime, being at 26. And the fact that he's going to be a free agent is really interesting because there's going to be basically every team in the NFL looks for a guy like this, a charismatic leader on the defense that is a production machine. So I'm excited to see. I'm guessing he's probably going to leave Carolina if he's an unrestricted free agent. So I'm excited to see him on a team that actually is competing for at least a playoff spot, because the Panthers have been a disaster since he's gotten there, and he's been one of the few bright spots of that team. The next star that I'd love to see on a new team is Saquan Barkley. Came into the NFL as already a superstar, was one of the most popular players in the league, and you immediately understood why, because of his explosive play as a runner and also in the pass game. He's dealt with a lot of injuries with the Giants, and they clearly don't want to commit to him long term. I mean, one of the things we talked about the most last offseason was the Saquon mess. He was one of the ringleaders for all the running backs getting paid, and ultimately he got tagged, and I think he took, he was going to sit out unless he got a real contract, and I think he just took a deal $1 million over his tag. So it was kind of for lack of a better word, kind of pathetic how it played out for Saquon. And I just felt bad because he legitimately is probably their best player, but they just have the leverage in this situation just given the running back. So clearly the Giants are not willing to commit to Saquon long-term. He's clearly going to be looking for basically his big contract this free agency, and he is an unrestricted free agent. The Giants can franchise tag him again. I don't know if they're going to do that, but I don't want to see him on the Giants anymore. I think the Giants, they're going to be in hell the next couple of years because the Daniel Jones contract, I think you can argue, is the worst contract in the NFL for the production you get from Daniel Jones and the fact that he's making $40 million annually. And the team just needs a lot of work even outside of that. So I would love to see Saquon contributing to winning football, because the very limited times the Giants have been a decent team when he's been there, he's shown the IQ. He is one of the smarter players at the position, but they've been bad. They've been kind of a mess since he's been there. Outside of one season, they made the playoffs last year. Outside of that year, there's just been very little success, and I want to see Saquon in that type of environment. I could see him on a team like Houston. Next player on the list is Justin Fields. I feel like he's one of the most talked about players of the offseason already. There's endless possibilities that the Bears could do just given their draft capital and Fields. I think it's just run its course in Chicago. It has not looked good at all since he's been there. There's clearly signs of talent from him, but he needs development, and I think they've done him a disservice giving him a defensive head coach. Now, granted, it is a defensive culture. That's what the Bears are known for. However, when you have a guy this raw of a prospect and needs development, especially as a thrower, you need to bring in an offensive mind. The Bears have shown they're not willing to do that, at least with Fields. So I think it's run its course. I want to see him on a new team. And I've gotten to a lot of arguments with Bears fans. One of my most highly viewed videos was me saying basically what I'm telling you guys now, is that I want him on a new team. The Bears fans were pissed at me. They were coming for me. And this is my number one thing that I want you to understand about this whole situation is this. It would be a different situation if the Bears just had the 9th overall pick. Okay, then I'd be yeah, I'm fine with keeping Fields around. Let's try to see if he can do something. It's different when you have the number 1 overall pick. When you have the right to draft a potentially generational level talent in Caleb Williams, it would be silly to hold on to Justin Fields. As much as I think there is talent there with Fields, he hasn't shown enough to warrant passing on a generational level talent. So I want to see him on a new team. As a Steelers fan, I saw last night the Steelers are currently the betting favorite to land Fields. That's a different video we're going to have to make. I'd like to see him on Atlanta with all those weapons there. The next player I desperately want to see on a new team next year is Devonte Adams. This guy is too talented to waste away in the purgatory that is the Las Vegas Raiders. In my heart, I still believe he can be the best receiver in the NFL. I still think he's the best technical route runner, and he just has that unrelenting physicality, that insane frame for the receiver position. He's just too much of a generational level talent to just not be in the best games, the biggest games of the year. Him and Aaron Rodgers were such a fun duo, and it's just been rough the past 2 years. Like, he went there to go play with his college buddy, Derek Carr. That only lasted a season. The only reason he went to the Raiders was to play with his best friend, Derek Carr. That lasted a season. And then this year, playing with Jimmy Garoppolo and Aiden O'Connell, it made me want to throw up, honestly. This is one of my favorite players in the league, and to see him have to deal with this nonsense is infuriating, honestly. As for where he could go, obviously the biggest rumor is the Jets. I don't know if I love that, honestly. It'd be cool to see a reunion with Aaron, but at the same time, it could quite easily turn out to just be what happened with the Raiders, where he goes and plays with Aaron for a year, and then Aaron retires, and then he's stuck on a directionless team in the Jets. So I do want to see him on a new team. I definitely would prefer him on the Jets than the Raiders next year, but I don't love that. I'd like to see him more on a team like Houston. I know I said that for Saquon, but they have so much cap space. They're going to be a contending team with CJ. I think it would be awesome to see him there. I just want to see him with an elite quarterback because he deserves it. And the last player for today's list is Derrick Henry. Now, out of all the guys we just talked about on this list, this is the one that I'm the most confident will actually be on a new team. For the simple fact that he actually is an unrestricted free agent, I don't see the Titans tagging him. Just for the simple fact, they're going in a brand new direction. They're obviously quarterback, they're moving off Tannehill. They're going to start moving in the Will Levis era. They got a brand new head coach, bringing in Brian Callahan. There's just a lot of new with the Titans. They're going in a new direction. It's just time for a departure for Derrick Henry, and I think that he has even already kind of hinted at that. Kind of felt like that was his last game against the Jags with the Titans. So I'm really excited to see where he goes because he's probably in my top 5 favorite players in the NFL. I just love his style, that smash mouth, I'm going to punch you in the teeth, just throw you on the ground, bulldozer. That is Derrick Henry. And the fact that he's still so good at this age, the physical style that he plays, it's crazy that he's still this good. And I still regard him as a top 3 running back in the NFL. He's still a production machine, a touchdown machine. And again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but Houston would be an awesome spot. And I don't think Derrick Henry is going to be looking to break the bank on his next contract. He strikes me as a guy who legitimately would like to get a ring, and that would obviously cement him as one of the best running backs in the history of football. And he's already been paid on his last deal. So that's been my 5 players. Let me know any stars that you'd love to see on a new team next year. And let me know where you think are some good spots for the guys that I talked about in this list. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.